big day if you had Cousins in your fantasy lineup, as well as a Dalvin Cook also had himself a good game in this one. As you see his stat line, 29 attempts, 140 yards, a rushing touchdown, along with a couple of receptions. Thielen continues to be Adam Thielen, 126 on 11 receptions and a touchdown. And you saw Osborne there, that 27-yarder, part of a 6-reception, 78-yard total for him. And then he had the touchdown. In terms of the Panthers, Sam Darnold, another bit of a disappointing performance from him as he threw another interception, was under 210 yards. And of course, they are missing Christian McCaffrey. All right, let's talk about this game. Vikings improved to 3-3, and Jamie, I'll ask you about the regression of Sam Darnold. I mean, what do you make of it? Is it schematic for him, or is he just making some bad decisions when it comes to, you know, what he's having to deal with that Panthers offense right now?
I mean, the offensive line's been struggling. You know, it's a big part of it. But I think also he was probably playing a little over his head. You know, I mean, you know, get to a new team. Some things are new. You know, no Adam Gase, so no concerns in that. I think he's playing a little free. But teams now are realizing what he's capable of doing. And so I'm sure they're taking away some of his strengths. They're taking away DJ Moore a little bit. It took till the fourth quarter for DJ Moore to get going in this game. But like you said, no Christian McCaffrey. So what's the identity of this Panthers offense? Is it to be dependent on the lead running back, or is it dependent on Sam Darnold? And if it's dependent on Sam Darnold, probably not going to be a great situation. So I thought he'd play a little bit better than this, but I didn't have high expectations for him. But 16 fantasy points is tough to take, especially when you saw him throw 41 times.
He's been sacked 14 times coming into this game. They gave up 4 more sacks on this day. The Vikings, the second best team coming into the week in terms of sacking the quarterback. They had 17. Now they got another 4 to that. So, Pete, I mean, this is a good Vikings defense in terms of getting at the quarterback. But, I mean, in terms of this Carolina offense, I mean, where do you go from here?
Well, without McCaffrey, they're a different offense to defend. They're much easier to defend because nobody is Christian McCaffrey in terms of what he brings to the offense. You have to defend him differently. When he's not there, if you see the regression, that is a big part of it is because he's not around. And Hubbard did a nice job today running the ball, but he's just not Christian McCaffrey in terms of what he does.
The fear.
Yeah, he scares you. And Hubbard doesn't scare you like that. The other thing is, Jamie mentioned the offensive line struggling a little bit. And Minnesota got after him today. You know, up until it was weird because they dominated this game. They were winning by 10 late in the game. And next thing you know, Sam Darnold hits a 4th down play from his own end zone. They go down and tie the game up on a 2-point conversion. And if you're the Vikings, you're Mike Zimmer, you know, you miss a field goal at the end of regulation with a chance to win it. You got to be going nuts. And then all of a sudden you see Kirk Cousins driving down the field to the game-winning touchdown.
Yeah, when you look at Darnold's numbers, too, weeks 1 to 3, I mean, 1 interception, and he'd only been sacked 5 times. But in weeks 4, 5, and 6, he's now thrown 4 interceptions, and he's been sacked over 10 times in those games. So obviously there is a little bit of a...
Better teams, too, he's playing.
He is playing better
right,
teams.
Step up in competition. Gets the Giants next week, so step down in competition.
And with McCaffrey, too, I mean, you know, we talked about that on HQ this week, the fact you're basically losing a yard of average per play offense when you don't have McCaffrey in there. And Hubbard, I mean, he's running the same type of routes for the Panthers, but he's about 3 yards less in terms of what he's able to get out of it in comparison to McCaffrey, to your guys' point that McCaffrey is such a great weapon. Okay, in terms of the Minnesota Vikings, Pete, are they better than their record indicates?
Yes, I think they are. It's taken them a while on defense to get the feel for it. They have problems at the corner. You know, Rashad Brilliant had a really rough go of it early in the season. He's starting to settle in a little bit better. Their pass rush is amped up again. I think Danielle Hunter is starting to look like Danielle Hunter again, and defensively they can get after the quarterback. And we know Mike Zimmer will get that defense playing back to a high level. You know, with Cook going in and out of the lineup, now he's back, and you can see what difference. Madison's a good back, but he's the backup. I mean, Cook is the real deal, and you could see that in that last drive. He had a bunch of nice runs on it as well. So they're a good team. It's just a matter of you know, they're the second best team in the division. They're not going to beat the Packers, but they're a good team that could be a postseason team.
If the defense came along a little bit more, and Patrick Peterson, you know, he's a friend of the network. Unfortunately, getting a little bit banged up in this game, so we'll see what happens with him. But if they can get after the quarterback, and I know they gave up the 28 points, so it looks a little misleading, but if they can get after the quarterback, it's going to be a lot harder to go and put up points against them. And then when they can control the ball with the run like they did, Dalvin Cook back, looking like Dalvin Cook. I want to give Alexander Madison a little bit more credit. He is the backup for a reason, but he's been doing some nice things.
No,
in place
he's a
of
good
Dalvin.
back, but he's just not Dalvin Cook.
He's not far off, though. He's not far off. If you just look at the way that they played the last couple of weeks, he's not far off.
Dalvin Cook has home run ability. Alexander Madison doesn't.
He's got triple ability.
Yeah, that's what he is. He's a triple. You want the home run guy.
He's better. Cook is better, but don't disrespect Mr. Madison.
No, I said he's a good backup. That's what he is.
140
His name
yards.
is Alexander Madison.
I know what his name is.
140 yards for Dalvin Cook this week, and he did get the touchdown. We mentioned Patrick Peterson, a friend of the network. Of course, he does a great podcast, All Things Covered, with BMAC, Bryant McFadden, Super Bowl champion, and hopefully we'll get an update on Pat P's injury status. You can download and follow All Things Covered wherever you get your podcast audio. You can also catch the show on YouTube.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.